Akame ga Kill is directed by Tomoko Kobayashi, written by Makoto Ezu, and it is done by Studio White Fox, which is a relatively new studio. Their most successful show to this date that I can remember off the top of my head is actually Hataraku Mao-sama, or Devil is a Part-Timer. And I really liked that show. That was one of my favorite shows that came out of nowhere, and I really liked it. And it has been licensed already by Sentai Filmworks, because they grab absolutely everything without even thinking about it. Like, oh, here, there's a new show, let's just license it, what the hell. Anyways, I'm terrible with synopsises, but I do know the main character's name. The main male character is Tatsumi, and he's basically come from a village to join, like, the knighthood or just be a soldier or whatever, and when he reaches the capital of the country, he soon learns that there's a lot of corruption, and he's introduced to this group of assassins called Night Raid who are trying to actually kill off the corruption. And that's literally kind of all we get from the first episode. There's a little bit of a backstory for the main character, Tatsumi, with like his friends that he left with him from his village. They were actually captured, tortured, and killed by this group of people that he meets in the first episode. I liked the animation. I wouldn't say it blew me away either. They've got a little bit of that super deformed stuff in there, which is fine. You've got like some girls, like one of the girls has like ridiculously large breasts, and there's that little boob jiggle thing that shows like to do. But it's all in good fun so far, which is weird considering it's fairly dark. The first episode has, you know, some semi-dark elements to it, like even the killing's brutal, but then at the same time the characters can still be silly. But I can honestly tell you from just that one episode alone, it had me hooked. And for a show to do that, it means something to me, because I'm one of those people where sometimes I have to watch several episodes to get into it. And especially as I've gotten into more anime over the years and watched more anime over the years, it's harder to hook me. I look at things more judgmental now. So, again, for a show to hook me, that episode 1 is great. Now, again, I am being a little bit biased because I have read some of the manga, and I did enjoy the manga, and I do know some of the elements that are going to come up in the series, but not so much so that watching the anime will spoil anything or ruin anything for me, because, honestly, my memory sucks. So, yeah, that's my big show for the season so far, and it'll most likely be on my list when I make a list at the end of the season. But what did you think of it, Liz?
Well, I agree. When it comes to being hooked, I was actually hooked out of the first episode. As much content as was in the first episode, it didn't feel rushed, which was kind of cool. It had a lot of content, but it didn't feel rushed, and it was enough to get me hooked. The main character is, like you said, a country bumpkin who's going to the big city to fight monsters. He wants to... These monsters, I forget their name, but yeah, he basically wants to go join the main army and fight monsters and help protect people. And he gets to the capital and, there's a lot of corruption. But he doesn't realize that. He falls victim to one of the night raid. My husband was talking about big boobs. This one had big boobs. But she's conniving. And she easily robs him of his money and easily has him sitting innocently in a tavern waiting for her return, only she doesn't come back. And he's like, sitting there waiting, till the barkeep finally tells him, dude, you've been robbed. So, yeah, he's definitely innocent in that respect, as in the fact that he's gullible. He's extremely strong, but he's gullible. Very gullible, which is what allows him to be captured again by the main bad guy of this episode, or should I say bad girl of this episode. And it allowed her to pretty much convince him that she's innocent until they find his friends. And his friends, she's like, who are you going to believe? Me, an innocent little girl, or these assassins? And his friend is like, it was her, she did it. And he has no qualms about, taking her out. That's the double-edged sword of his innocence, is once he was confronted with her corruption, he had no qualms about taking out said corruption. He's strong, but very gullible.
I kind of agree. He wasn't really captured. He was sitting on the side of the road because he no longer had any money because the big-breasted chick had taken all his money, and this chick pulls up and is like, oh, well, come stay with me. And even though he doesn't trust anybody already because of being robbed, he goes with her anyway. And she seems to be a nice, innocent girl, and his family's taking him in, and these people that are working for them seem really, really loyal to the family and whatever. And then, suddenly, this group, the Night Raid, the assassins show up, and they're killing, just brutally killing. And it's like, wow. And then he tries to protect the little girl who took him in, and she's like, who are you gonna believe, this assassin or me, like you said? And then he's shown that his missing friends were actually taken in by the little girl, and one of them was tortured to death, and the other one's dying of poison, and he tells Tatsumi the truth, that this chick did it. And then she goes psychotic and explains how she killed the female friend because of her hair. And that's where it's weird in the sense that, like, he seems innocent and gullible, and then instantly he turns his sword and kills her. So it's like, I don't know how much innocence per se he's gonna have, or how it's gonna work. But I agree 100% on one thing though. You got a lot of content in this 20 some odd minute episode. A lot of content. And it never felt rushed. As a matter of fact, it was too short because by the time the episode was over, we're like, what? It's over? Like, crap. It's over already. And that's how something should be. That's where, for example, Sword Art Online, this new one, is lacking. Because you got nothing from the first episode of Sword Art Online 2, other than the main bad guy's got a death gun and his name's Death Gun. Woo! So original, by the way, Death Gun. What kind of weapon are you using? A death gun? Anyways, I'm getting off track. I'm getting back to the other show. It had me hooked. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't wait to watch the newest episode, which will probably be out today, and I will definitely watch it. Akame ga Kill is my show this season. Out of the 3 shows that we just talked about, obviously, you could tell by just me talking about it that that's the one I'm going to enjoy the most and the one I look forward to the most. With Sword Art Online 2 being a big maybe, as I really liked Sword Art Online, but fell flat towards the end, and so far I'm not impressed with the start. And then Sailor Moon is just, it's one of those things. It's a big show. It's a big deal. Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon. When you ask anybody, they're gonna know Dragon Ball Z or Sailor Moon, and that's it. So, all in all, yeah, that's what we think about these 3 shows. Is there anything else you want to add, Liz?
Yeah, it was an overall good show, and it did have me hooked from the first episode, and I'm definitely looking forward to more episodes of it.
Alright, so basically, what we're saying is that all 3 of these shows are definite must-watches. They could go either any way. Sailor Moon will probably, regardless of if my opinion changes and I start to not enjoy it, there's going to be many people who do. The Sailor Moon fans are either going to really love it or really hate it, and some people are just, even if they don't like it, they're gonna watch it. I could compare that to watching a Michael Bay Transformers film. A Sailor Moon fan might not like this new Sailor Moon, but they're gonna watch it because it's Sailor Moon. Sword Art Online 2. There's going to be people who defend this to death, and then there's gonna be people who are gonna be like, meh, whatever. And Akame ga Kill, it's gonna be probably the same way, but if you're an anime fan, if you watch a lot of anime, if you watch new shows, whatever the case is, you owe it to yourself to watch these shows. And that's going to be it for our first impressions video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.
Shana!